This is Superteam's new wheel release. Apparently the rims are unique to Superteam and the spokes are new. We've never seen these sort of spokes before on the market. So it's going to be very interesting. Let's have a look. So this is Superteam's All Carbon EVO wheel set. Pretty much every time you order a set of wheels from Asia, they'll come packed with this diagonal cut foam, which is good. Cardboard in between. Yep, we have some spare spokes. And a user's manual. That's all that's in the box. They're wrapped in plastic and have the hub protectors on, axle protectors. Both wheels. Yep, that has one too. Both got a label on, and the rear one comes with a spacer on the Freehub. To see these wheels properly, we really need a black background, so that's better. Very nice. Just take the labels off. Looks like each wheel builder checks off on these quality control cards, and I did scan the QR codes, but it said website not available. So it must be some sort of in-factory wheel tracking control. So if any issue arises, it's possible to trace the wheel back to its origins. Overall first impression, very nice. Very glossy rims. Hard to get video and pictures of how the dimple effect is because of the gloss, the reflections. But the dimples themselves here, this wave, the bumps, whatever you want to call them, protrusions, when you look side on like this, as the wind would go across, you can't see it. You can't see it at all. And then as you come slightly up, there's something there. And as you come further up, looking at the surface, then you can start to see the bumps. Interesting, but it's very subtle. It's only just there. The gold decaling, very nice, well done. It's under the clear coat. The spokes, very wide, very, very wide. Reminds me of those German lightweight wheels, Meilensteins, where the spokes are carbon and they're very wide and they're part of the flange of the hub and the rim, sort of one piece, except these are separate, you can replace them. Strong looking but aerodynamic looking at the same time. You've also got, where is it? There it is, Superteam written under some dots. A bit like the zip wheels with their dots, but this is just printed on. We're sort of, it's a bit more than printed. You can feel it. And it's under the clear coat. It's very well done. I think they've upgraded the looks, the decals and everything. It's certainly gone one step up. Very nice. So these wheels don't come with rim tapes because they don't need rim tapes. As you can see there, completely sealed carbon fibre all the way around, no spoke holes. Come with tubeless valves already installed, so they're already set up for tubeless. Of course, you can use tubes if you want to. And they come with 2 spare spokes. Let's weigh the wheels. So with the valve already installed, the front wheel is 730 grams. And the rear wheel, 780 grams. So all up, that's 1500 grams for the 60 millimeters, 1350 for the 50 millimeters, and 1320 for the 45 millimeter profiles. The finish, so as we said before, it's high gloss, very high gloss, very well done, very smooth, and the decals are underneath, including this gold one here. So all the decals, the spots, and where it says here, Aero Attack from Superteam. So they're all underneath the gloss. The shape of the rim section is teardropped, or close enough to, because if you put a straight rule on, there's no straight edge. It goes around. So it curves from the beading here, from the edge, curves around here, and then whoosh, around to the other side. Now both the front and the rear rims are the same. The inside size, so we've got 21, and the outside is 28. 21 internal, 28 on the outer, ideal for 28 and 30C tyres. You could probably go easily to 34. For the profile, this pair of wheels are 60s, so if we measure it, it's 60. Bumps or no bumps, you're plus or minus probably about 2mm, 2.5mm bumps, that's all they are really. So 60mm, so these are 60s, and they're available in I think there's 50s and 45s as well. So no spoke holes in the bed of the rim. Does that make it difficult to replace your spoke? Well, we'll talk about that when we look at the spokes closer, but the nipples are two pieces. Where the spoke nipple enters the rim is specially shaped to accommodate that, and the holes are alternately drilled. So for spokes on this side, the holes are slightly drilled that way, and for spokes on this side, the holes are drilled that way, which is good. That's how it should be. And at the valve and the sticker up the top here of the rim, there's one hole on each side for ventilation to get moisture out of the rim. The spokes, carbon fibre of course, and very, very wide. The brand name's written on two of the spokes, one either side of the valve there. It says X Master. They're the only two spokes with it written on, the rest are plain. And their width is 5.16. So we'll say at 5mm, that's very wide. Not only are they wide, but they're also very thin this way. What's that? 0.79, so 0.8. So 0.8 of a millimetre, very, very thin. Spoke count, front wheel 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, so 14 spokes on the disc rotor side on the front wheel, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the non-disc side. Rear wheel 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so exactly the same. So radial on the disc side and crossed on the Freehub side, and the spokes where they cross are not touching. Not touching, that's good. You can't have your spokes, especially carbon fibre ones, you cannot have carbon fibre spokes touching where they cross. Any slight movement with a little bit of grit in there is going to wear them away. So you cannot have carbon fibre spokes touching where they cross. So they're fine. This is a conventional carbon fibre spoke from another set of wheels I got, and here's the one from the Superteams. You can see the difference in the width, much wider, it's pretty much twice as wide. And this way, but it's thinner. It's the Superteam one. Let's have a look how true the wheels are. First of all, the rear wheel, the lateral true or side to side. It's about 0.3mm, 0.3mm. And the radial true, which is up and down, pretty much the same. Yeah, it's pretty much the same, about 0.3 as well, 0.3mm. Excellent, very good. Front wheel, lateral true. About 0.2. And the radial, yep, looks like it's not going to be any more than 0.3, so we'll call that 0.3mm. Excellent again. Having wheels like this, deep profile rims, bladed spokes, they're obviously going for aerodynamics, and when you've got your blade spokes that are this wide, it's even more important that the spokes are all aligned, so that when the wind comes across them, that they're not twisted, that they're all nice and straight, as thin looking towards the wind as they can be. So spoke twist, we'll check the spoke twist, make sure that they're all nice and straight. It's important to check the spokes at the rim end as well as at the hub. Spokes can be straight at one end and then twisted at the other. The green line indicating where the spokes should be. That one's slightly out, and this one is a little bit more than slightly out, but still acceptable. So the rear wheel here, two spokes, almost not worth mentioning. They're only just slightly out. It's fine, very, very good. This is the front wheel, and it's checked out just perfect. I'm going over again just to make sure. But these spokes on the front wheel, the back wheel had two spokes, slightly, almost not worth mentioning out, but this front wheel is perfect up near the rim and near the hub. One thing I've just learned, we're always learning something, always be open to learn. And I've just learned something from this. With the ultra wide spokes like this, the 5mm, you can visually see whether they're actually twisted or not before even putting the tool on. If you look at it and go, oh yeah, that looks a little bit out, and sure enough, the tool does show that it's out. So that's interesting. With the not so wide bladed spokes, you can't see it. You can't look at it and go, oh, yes, it's twisted. Yes, you have to use the tool. But these ones, you can actually see whether they're twisted or not. Anyhow, that's the front wheel, and they're perfect. The dishing, making sure the rim is in the centre of the axle ends, so I'm sure they'll be fine, but as we always do, we measure them. If you ride without your hands on your handlebars and your bicycle feels like it's going to the left or to the right, it could be the dish of one or both of your wheels is not central. Quality wheel sets such as these should be within 1mm of dish. So front wheel 0.1mm. Rear wheel, just recalibrate to 0, flip the wheel over. 0.3mm, that's fine. Both wheels are just fine. Spoke tension, we usually use the digital tool, and I'll do that and we'll put it on the chart to see the tension of these wheels. But something you can do yourself, and I've shown this many times, is with the spokes you can just hear the difference in the spoke tension. So use something like a plastic tie lever, especially on carbon spokes, don't use anything metal like a screwdriver. So you just tap the spoke and you can hear. So the slight differences in tone, that means a slight difference in the spoke tension. On this side, wow, that's pretty good. So that's the rear wheel. We'll try the front wheel now. So front wheel. Slight variation, but definitely acceptable. Slight variation, definitely acceptable. Very good. So I'll go ahead and do the digital measurement and show you the chart as well. So the rear wheel, all the measurements were within 20% of the range. However, when you look closely at the chart, you could see it could be better. Front wheel, all the figures within 20%, but looking at that chart closely, it definitely could be a bit better. I'd like to just make two comments. First of all, the way these wheels are built now are excellent. Chinese wheels are amazing. These spoke nipples here, it's not like the old nipples. Remember the old nipples we used to have, even if they're aluminium or steel, doesn't matter, 14 gauge. Well, these are like twice as thick at the rim, the two-section nipple here, twice as thick. Even though they're aluminium, they're bulked up, which is good. So they've done their homework there. And of course, then the way they go in here, the end of the spoke here, where it meets the hub, is bonded to the spoke, that little end there, piece there. So it's obviously epoxied in there somehow and flanged at the end, so it's almost impossible to pull out. So the only way to break a spoke, you would not normally break a spoke. There's no way, I don't think you would normally break a spoke. I haven't broken a carbon fibre spoke in the last 2 years. I've had carbon fibre spokes in wheels. Obviously some people have, but I'm pretty sure they'd be in an accident. And if you have an accident, anything can happen. Surely that's reasonable, isn't it? So what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to use carbon spokes. The way they've made them now, the technology these days, and obviously continuing to use carbon fibre spokes. So they're working out really, really well. And you see the name brands too. The name brands are coming out with carbon fibre spokes in their wheels as well. So it's not just the Chinese or Asian manufacturers doing this. The other thing is with these particular wheels, being aero wheels, I would have liked to see concealed or recessed nipples rather than exposed nipples. These are rather bulky and large. So to be in with the theme of being aerodynamic, it would have been nice to see the spokes go straight in and the nipples hidden away. Although it might have been difficult in this case, nevertheless, for the sake of aerodynamics, no matter what, it's better to have a concealed nipple. So that's just one other point I would like to have made. So to replace a nipple in this tubeless rim, remove the nipple from the spoke head, thread a small bolt into the nipple, put the nipple and bolt in the rim through the valve hole, Then with a magnet, guide that nipple to the vacant spoke hole. You'll hear the nipple moving inside the rim. And when you get approximately to the hole, very close, then you just manipulate the magnet so that the head comes through the hole. The full video on this process is called How to Replace Spokes and Nipples in Tubeless Rims. The hub's sort of like an anodized silvery grey finish with a Superteam logo on the inside of the hub there. They look very well made, like they're one piece, maybe one piece or not, I'm not sure. I would say they probably would be. Machining these days is very good. Front wheel on the rotor side, round flange, slightly larger than the non-rotor side, which sort of has a starfish shape on there. And the rear wheel on the Freehub side, even larger, round flange there, and again the star on the rotor side. The bearing feel, now these are ceramic bearings and you cannot feel anything on that front wheel. Give it a slow spin or a fast spin. No. Can't feel a thing on the front wheel. Rear wheel, do a slow spin. Nothing. Yeah, lovely. Ratchet sound, everybody wants to hear the ratchet sound. Slow. Fast. Now, one thing with an aluminium Freehub body is it's softer than the splines on the cassette that you put on. So the inside splines of the cassette go on these splines here and they move forward in this direction and they push on this aluminium Freehub body. And some of the cogs, usually the center cogs, not so much the first three or the last ones, but usually the center ones are individual, especially on Shimano, and they'll push and dig into the aluminium body, and the aluminium being softer than steel will give way. So you'll end up with these bite marks on there. Now some aluminium Freehub bodies have what's called a saver, a body saver on there, Freehub body saver. This one doesn't have it. The body saver is a steel strip that sits in one of the splines there, usually the big spline there, the big gap, and helps prevent these steel cassette splines digging into the Freehub body. This one does not have that. So it would be nice if all aluminium body Freehub bodies did have that. This one doesn't have it. To pull the Freehub body off, very simple. You just grab the Freehub body itself with your hand, pull it, the axle end comes off, and the Freehub body comes off like that. Very simple. And it has the star ratchet system. Good amount of grease in this clutch, not too much, not too little. So pretty much all hubs coming out these days have this star ratchet system. Very easy to take apart and service and re-grease. And what a lot of people like is you can change the points of engagement. 18, 36, 54, 60. So for instance, here's the 60 tooth kit. I got this kit from AliExpress, pretty cheap. And the rings simply go in the same way that the originals came out. I'm not putting any grease on here because it's just a demonstration of how to do this. So the two 60 tooth rings face each other, put the spring back on, Freehub body back on, and it's done. So how does the 60 tooth clutch sound on these Superteam wheels? Mind you, I haven't put any grease in the clutch. Oh, well, if you like that, then get yourself the 60 tooth clutch. You can get them from AliExpress. They're not that expensive. And you can swap it out and you can have however many points of engagement you want. One thing I noticed, which really has got nothing to do with anything apart from purely aesthetics, and that's if you even take note of it and can see it. The axle end and the dust caps are all one piece and they're the same color, rather than have, say, a black dust cap on a silver end. See? And even inside there, and even on the back wheel, inside the Freehub body there and on that side. So that's interesting. But anyhow, talking about the dust cap, it's a really nice tight fit as well on both sides, so that'll prevent moisture and dirt ingress into your bearings. So ceramic bearings all round, front and rear wheels, lovely and smooth. So in time, We'll see as you do the rides over the thousands of kilometres if they get rougher or not, or they stay smooth. But at least your dust caps are going to keep out your moisture and your dust. Very good. Now let's see how easy the tyres go on. And I always use this as a standard, Vittoria Rubino Graphene 2s. If you use the same tyre, you get a feel for how the rims, if they're too tight or too easy for the tyres to go on. I don't think I've ever had very many rims in my time where the tyres go on too easy, but usually too tight. Especially with tubeless ready. These are not tubeless ready. This is just an ordinary, everyday clincher tyre. And because these rims are both the same, manufactured the same, we really only need to try it on one wheel. So we'll just do it on the front wheel. Goes on easy. That's one side. And you just work it, make sure it's in the middle. This is a brand new tyre, remember? There we go, make sure it's in the middle. Dead easy, beautiful fit. No problem whatsoever. And removing a tyre should also be easy, because if you're on a ride and you get a puncture, you need to do it fairly easily. Done, that's a brand new tyre. So they definitely passed the tyre fitment test. If you have trouble fitting your tyres onto your wheels, just check that the tyres are not tubeless ready. If they are tubeless ready and you intend to use tubeless, then all very well, you know what to expect, tight fitting tyres. But if you're using tubes, don't go using tubeless ready tyres if you're using tubes in your wheels. There's no point. First of all, they're heavier tyres as well. So just grab an ordinary tyre if you're using tubes, and you'll find it's a lot easier to fit on and off your tyres. By the way, if you ever wondered if the pro teams use different tyres, tyres that we don't use, tyres we can't buy on the market, while we had the tour down under here this year, the AG2R team, I know someone from there, and we managed to source some of the tyres that they used on their Van Rysel bikes. And I've got 4 of them. Here is one of them, and you can tell they've been used because they're tubeless ready, and there's some of the remnants of the tubeless sealant inside there. So they're using, or they were using at the tour down under. There you go, that's what they were using. That's exactly the tyres the whole team were using, GP5000, what's it say? TR, tubeless ready. So if you want to fit these tubeless ready tyres onto these wheels, you can do, but expect a bit of a fight because they're tubeless ready and they'll be tight. Well, we've got the cassette off the wheel, we can give it a clean. So if you ever take a cassette off your wheel, take the opportunity to clean your sprockets. Just a matter of interest because we wax our chains here. You can see I've done 6 or 7 rides on this sprocket set, sprocket set, cassette, whatever you want to call it. You can see it's mostly silver with some blotches of wax there. Now if I was running an oiled chain, this would be almost completely dark grey, and you touch it, it'll be oily and gritty, sandy, horrible. And it's very hard to clean, whereas this is very easy to clean. Not only that, it stays clean. Like, there you go, 6 or 7 rides, and all the cogs look nice. I mean, they're not perfect, but they've got a bit of wax on them. But after 6 or 7 rides, I'm going on about waxing again, aren't I? We should be talking about the wheels. So yep, running TPU tubes. Been running TPU tubes for over a year now, thereabouts. I just can't be bothered with the fuss with all this tyre sealant, with tubeless, all that sort of thing. You have to renew it every 3 months, make sure you top it up. TPU tube, if you get a puncture, you just whack in another tube, easy. One of the more satisfying sounds from a bicycle, the last bit of your tyre, pop. The wheels fitted in just fine into the frame, and I didn't need to adjust the brake calipers for the rotors. Natural Hill has 18 sensors in it, so we'll see how these wheels go up steep hills. Here's the champion. So about 9 rides on these wheels now. Everything's fine. What can we say? 60mm rims. They perform just like any other 60s. I don't think they're any faster or any slower. With the dimple effect of the crosswinds, I didn't really notice any difference. It just feels like most of the other 60s. Maybe it's a little bit better, but it's hard to tell. You need a lot of crosswinds and gusty conditions to tell. So 9 rides is not quite enough at the moment. Bumps, lots of bumps down where we ride, and done a few bunny hops to get over gutters and horrible spoon drainy type things that they have down here, and they hold up just fine. Very strong. I feel the power transfer is really good through these. That's no problem at all. Everybody who's seen these wheels comments saying, oh, what are those wheels? They're nice. Mostly because of the gold bits on it, but also because it's glossy, dark black. So they do look really nice. So I've got the older ones. Here's the older one. This previous Superteam one they had, the All Carbon Pro or something they call it. But you can see it's a sort of a grey colour, and that's a black colour. Speed, they're fine, just like any other 60mm. If they are any faster or slower because of these dimples on there, well, it'll be marginal gains, that's for sure, and I certainly can't feel it. So they don't feel any faster than any other 60s I've ridden, and they don't feel any slower. Actually, around about 40 k's an hour, you start to feel a little bit of difference with deep section wheels, and then as the speed goes up, the difference becomes better. So I did, we were doing about 79, 80 something k's an hour down the hill. But I mean, you can just tuck in. It's more about the air going, hitting your body, really, rather than the wheels. But every bit helps, I suppose. That's what marginal gains is about. And and I've got something in my pocket here. Sorry, something digging in. It's a pump. The spokes, carbon spokes. I'm personally definitely sold on carbon spokes. Can definitely recommend them. I've ridden for way over 2 years now on quite a few different pairs of wheels and had no problems whatsoever, and I really, really like them. So unless steel spokes come up with something really ultra new, something way out of this world, then carbon spokes is definitely for the win. So you'll see a lot more carbon spoked wheel sets coming out on the market. And of course, I'll mention again, is the exposed nipples. Would have been nice to see internal nipples, and they would have been looking better and be more aerodynamic. Or marginal gains again, I can't feel any difference whether they're internal or exposed, but nevertheless a lot of tests say that the internal nipples are a bit faster, marginally faster. So excellent performance, and these Superteam wheels, they'll sell straight to you, so it'll save you a bit of money rather than go through another middleman there as well. Well, I really don't think there's much more to say about these wheels. They perform excellent. Everything about them is good. The price is good, and they look really, really good. That's the best thing. Nice big flat blade spokes, and they look way better than their previous Superteam wheels. So type in Superteam wheels into your search bar, and it'll come up with the website pretty much straight away. And there's the Evo wheels on their homepage. Scroll down, click on the Evo wheels for all their details. Choose the Freehub body type that you need, then whether you want through axle or quick release, probably be through axle, and the rotor type 6-bolt or center lock. Click on Add to Cart, and then in the discount code box type in OzCycle05, and that'll give you 5% discount, which will be $69.95. Now this is in US dollars. Now if the Evos are a bit out of your price range, well, Superteam have the S All Carbon Ultras on discount at the moment, so they'll be $9.95, and you can still get another 5% off with the discount code, so it'll be $9.45. Well, that's about it. I'm getting out of this sweaty kit now, have a shower, and we'll see you next time.